Anger. We all feel it, right? It can feel like this overwhelming, destructive force, something we're supposed to just stuff down or get rid of. But what if that's all wrong? What if anger isn't the enemy? In the next few minutes, we're going to dive into how to actually listen to your anger, figure out what it's trying to tell you, and turn it from something that works against you into something that, believe it or not, can work for you.
So let's just start with that big idea. What if we've been looking at anger completely backwards? What if, instead of an enemy we have to fight, it's actually a messenger trying to deliver some really important information? To even begin to understand that message, we first have to clear away some pretty common myths.
All right, first things first, we've got to clear the air. There are a few big misconceptions about anger that really get in the way of managing it well. So let's just tackle them head on.
Okay, this right here is probably the most important distinction we're going to make. Anger is the feeling inside you. It's just an emotion. Aggression, on the other hand, is the behavior. It's an action you take. You can feel white-hot, furious anger without ever becoming aggressive. The feeling is just a signal. The behavior is always a choice.
So here's a really common one. The idea that we're just born angry, that our explosive reactions are just hardwired into our DNA and there's really nothing we can do about it.
But the research, it tells a totally different story. We aren't born with these specific ways of showing anger. We learn them. We learn them from our families, from our culture, from our life experiences. And you know what? That is fantastic news, because it means anything that was learned can be unlearned and replaced with something a whole lot better.
We have all heard this one, right? Just let it all out. Punch a pillow. Go scream in your car. This popular idea that an aggressive release of anger is somehow this healthy, therapeutic thing to do.
But here's the wild truth. Studies actually show the opposite is true. When you vent your anger in an aggressive way, you're not really releasing it, you're rehearsing it. You are literally strengthening the neural pathways in your brain for aggression, which just makes it easier and more likely you'll get angry next time. You're not fixing the problem, you're just practicing it.
So, if anger itself isn't the real problem, and just letting it rip doesn't actually help, then what is going on? Well, a lot of the time the anger we feel is just the tip of the iceberg. So let's take a look at what's really hiding just beneath the surface. I love this metaphor. Anger is what everyone sees. It's visible, it's loud, it's what people react to. But the real weight, the true source of the problem, is that massive chunk of ice hidden just out of sight, under the water. And what's down there, below the surface? It's usually these more vulnerable primary emotions. Anger is often what we call a secondary emotion. It's like a bodyguard we hire to protect us from feeling things like hurt or fear or disrespect or just plain old frustration. So if anger is just a reaction to those deeper feelings, what's actually setting the whole thing off in the first place? Well, the key is to start decoding your personal triggers. Those specific things that are like your own personal anger buttons. Everybody has these. A trigger could be anything. Getting stuck in traffic, a certain tone of voice, even a memory that just reliably sparks that angry feeling. Now, the goal isn't to somehow eliminate all the triggers from your life. That's just impossible. The real key is to recognize them, to know where your buttons are so you can make a conscious choice about how you want to react.
So how do you know a trigger's been pulled before it's too late?
Your body is actually an amazing early warning system. It sends out all these signals or cues. It might be something physical, like your heart starts racing or you feel hot. It could be behavioral, like you start clenching your fists. It might be that first flash of a primary emotion, like hurt. Or it could be all in your head, that little voice that starts telling a really hostile story about what just happened. Learning your cues is everything. And recognizing those cues is absolutely critical, because an angry outburst doesn't just appear out of thin air. It's a predictable cycle, and once you can see the stages of that cycle, that's when you gain the power to actually break it.
So this cycle usually has 3 phases. It all starts with escalation. That's when your internal alarms, those cues we just talked about, start going off and the pressure builds. If you don't intervene there, you hit the explosion phase. That's kind of the point of no return. And what comes after that? The post-explosion fallout. The guilt, the damage control, all the apologies.
And right here, this is the secret to all of it. The real power isn't in trying to stop the explosion. It's too late by then. The power is in disrupting the escalation. That first phase, that's your golden window of opportunity. When you learn to catch the cues early, you can break the cycle before it even really gets going.
So, how do you actually intervene in that escalation phase? Well, you need the right tools for the job. So, let's get really practical here and start building your personal toolkit for a calmer, more controlled response.
A huge tool, maybe the cornerstone of your kit, is assertive communication. It's this healthy middle ground between being aggressive and being passive. Aggression is basically saying, I win, you lose. Assertiveness, on the other hand, says, hey, let's find a way for both of us to be heard and respected. It's all about expressing what you need without attacking the other person.
Remember, your thoughts are the fuel for your feelings, and we can absolutely intervene here with a couple of really powerful tools for your mind. The first is called thought stopping, and it's as simple as it sounds. You literally tell yourself, stop, when you feel those angry thoughts starting to spiral. The second is positive self-talk, which is where you actively challenge and reframe the story that you're telling yourself. Let's look at this example. The event is exactly the same. Someone bumps into you. Your automatic internal story might be, that jerk did that on purpose, which leads to anger. But what if you challenge that story? What if you tried thinking, oh, he's probably just in his own world and didn't even notice? Same event, but a totally different story leads to a totally different emotional response. You are in control of that narrative.
And there are so many other tools, from taking a strategic timeout to just walk away and cool down, to using deep breathing to physically calm your body's stress response. The ultimate goal here is to build your very own personalized anger control plan. This becomes your go-to list of strategies that you know work for you, ready to go the second you feel that anger starting to bubble up.
So, we've unpacked the myths, we've looked under the surface, and we've started to build a toolkit. Managing anger isn't about pretending you never feel it. It's about understanding what it's trying to tell you and then choosing how you want to respond. So the final question I have for you is this. Looking at all these strategies, what's the very first tool that you'll add to your own toolkit?